What is an odd behavior of yours you think only you do? I have noticed I often sniff when I enter a room so I don't scare people by just talking out of nowhere. I have hyperhidrosis, fancy word for sweating a lot, and my t-shirts are constantly sticking to my armpits. To unstick them, I just lift my elbows up and down a time or 3. Basically, I flap my arms like a chicken. Most of the time, I don't even realize I'm doing it. Imagine having a conversation with someone you have never met and they randomly start flapping like a chicken out of the blue and act like nothing just happened with no explanation. Edit. Now I know the meaning of RIP inbox. I don't have time to read through all of your comments today. But for everyone giving advice and suggestions, thank you. Also, thanks for the awards. Talking to myself in gibberish when I'm doing something as though I were explaining what I'm doing. I imagined a guy doing the dishes and talking like someone from The Sims. Laughed my ears off. I throw up gang signs at my dog. Don't know why it started, but I get a laugh out of it and my dog just likes the attention. I sing with my cat and he responds when I pause. Somebody once told me the world is gonna meow. I ain't the sharpest tool in the meow. I find it hilarious he also likes the attention. In the shower, I slowly rotate to keep myself evenly warm. I do it unconsciously now. Like a rotisserie chicken. If I accidentally hit my head or something when I was little, I'd pretend to be knocked out for at least 10 minutes on the floor and then slowly get up when I'd realize nobody was going to indulge my dramatic as. I walk fast. When it's a crowded place, I use hand gestures whenever another person gets in my way to tell them where I will go. Like I point to the left and they automatically move to the right without any awkwardness. It works more often than I expected. People tend to follow such unexpected gestures unconsciously. I blow on my ice cream. To cool it off. I'm not really sure. I wasn't even aware I was doing something weird until my GF noticed and said, "You know that's not hot, right?" Shake my butt when I'm lying in bed. Hey, you should meet my roommate. I wake up every morning to him just fast asleep but vigorously shaking his butt. I tap every time a dashed line goes past the car. It's like a perpetual game of Guitar Hero. I rub the tip of my nose and after a while it starts to feel really nice and I get a mild sensation not unlike an orgasm. I make a valley out of pillows and blankets and sleep in the middle so I can koala hug something while laying on either side. Edit. Thank you all for the awards and the attention. I absolutely love the wholesome conversations about pets and pillows that unfolds below. I wiggle my right foot really fast when I'm falling asleep. Never be lonely anymore. I have found my sisters and brothers. Every time I bend over to pick something up I pretend I just unknowingly dodged a bullet from some faraway sniper trying to take me out. When at the library or bookstore, I sometime open a book I know I will read at some point. But not right now and read a random line at a random page. Then, maybe years later I will read the book and when I get to that line that I have forgotten all about and get the most powerful feeling of deja vu, I will remember what the world felt like, smelt like, the sensations and feelings I had while reading that line. It's like little gifts of memories to future me floating around in various books. Sometimes when I get bored, I explain modern things to Benjamin Franklin, music I listen to, or how my phone works, etc. Sometimes I go even further back and explain it to Socrates or a caveman. Sometimes it's philosophical. Sometimes it's just stupid. I don't know why I do it, but it's very entertaining. I used to do something like that on car trips. Only I'd pick a time period and imagine what a philosopher, monk or otherwise educated person from that era would be able to figure out about what I was seeing. Habit that I've had since childhood, I play with my ears. Especially when they are cold, I fold them and scrunch them and can fit them into the ear canal until they unfold and pop back into form. I'll occasionally reread sections of a book where nothing much happens. but the characters are just chilling. It's almost like visiting friends. One of my favorite parts in all of the Harry Potter series is when Harry gets 2 weeks alone in Diagon Alley in Prisoner. Nothing happens. Just wish I could experience that myself. Using random number generator apps to dictate how I set my daily to-do lists. When I can't decide between two things, I assign them random numbers. Like 68 and 14. Or call them left and right. And have someone pick one over the other. Whatever they choose, I go for that thing. When I'm alone, I use a RNG or coin instead. So not exactly. But same idea, I suppose. Sometimes I wonder if there's actually people who can see into your mind. So I start thinking about really interesting things, so if there is, they won't think I'm boring. I make sure to make a splash noise when I pee to make sure I'm not sleeping and pissing the bed. Sometimes when I'm listening to music, I play a game where I tap my fingers to the syllables. If the sentence ends at the pinky or the thumb, I win. If not, I must continue until it ends up at one of them. Sometimes I spell a word in my head over and over until it seems like nonsense. When I'm alone, sometimes I will shriek and beg for my life under my breath as if I am being murdered in order to give myself a cheap chuckle. So I'll be in the bathroom going, "No God. Don't let this happen. Don't let this happen. He's stabbing me. I don't want to die. Our Father who art in heaven." And just laugh my ass off. Edit. Woke up to a 91 next to my name and immediately thought, what did I do? Also, thank you for gold. My alarm is set to 7 AM. I can't remember when I last heard it go off. Because I wake up at around 6:15. And spend some time on my phone. Before unsetting my alarm and getting in the shower before 7 AM. My alarm is set to 7 AM. I can't remember when I last heard it go off. Because I wake up at around 7:30. Each day when I come home from work. Honey, I'm home. Or what? I have to stop what I'm doing to keep on blinking until my mind is pleased with the right amount of even times I've blinked. I make weird noises and gestures when I think no one else is home. I hear noises in multiples of 8. Not that I hear any sound 8 times. But if there's a noise that repeats a bunch of times, I hear it in my head again and count it. Using 8s. It kinda weird, but I like to rub my feet against each other under the covers. It calms me down and helps me fall asleep. I eat fried chicken and other greasy foods while wearing latex gloves. This applies only to home. I say things to myself to break a train on thought. Like I love you or I'm sorry or you got this, just to keep myself going on the right path. Probably be weird if someone walked in on me trying to motivate myself out loud. I got my dog Snoopy when I was 10 years, and ever since he was a puppy he had this weird love for lettuce. He would go absolutely nuts for it, and so whenever I had a sandwich or a burger I would give him some of my lettuce. Over the years it became a ritual that whenever I prepared any food that involved lettuce for myself, I would grab extra lettuce for him so I could toss it to him as I ate. He passed away 4 years ago after almost 17 years together. But I still find myself grabbing that bit of extra lettuce for him. I feel like I'm probably the only person in the world that grabs more lettuce than they need for something and then eat it while remembering his best friend that passed. When my girlfriend gets home, I often pretend to be dead. She then feigns shock and horror until I ultimately succumb to a fit of laughter. I try and be as inventive as possible with positioning and stuff. And I'm well aware that I could become the man who cried wolf one day. After I stopped chewing on my nails, I needed a new thing for when I'm nervous. Preferably something discreet. So I started pressing my nails into the side of my knuckles and then kind of pressing the hurting spot. Somehow this pain feels extremely relaxing for me. Also, it helps me think when I can't concentrate. When I'm watching a movie or TV series and something bad happens to a character I really like, I can't handle him being sad or distraught. So I stop watching it. It's a real problem I have to force myself to continue. Because if I wouldn't watch anything until the end. It's been like this since I was a kid. In my head I make a plan to rob any business I enter. I make note of security, cameras, employees. I think about what part of town I'm in and try to estimate what the police response time would be and possible escape routes and so on. I'd never do it, of course. It's just a mental exercise. I made the mistake of telling my wife about it, and now when we go out she notices and tracks my eyes and says, "Stop that. You're so weird. Lol." I have conversations with myself out loud. And I stare intently at one spot when I am thinking. I also talk with inanimate objects. And I catch myself cocking my head to the side like a dog when I'm confused. Of note, they don't talk back to me. I just have one-sided conversations with the objects. Kind of like how Archer talks to Krieger in Krieger's first few appearances before they found a voice actor for him. Every time I shift into neutral, I wiggle the stick back and forth a bit as a sanity check. Edit. So apparently this is so normal someone gave me gold. So thanks for that. Also, it's a little terrifying to open Reddit in the morning and see 110 messages and think to yourself, oh shit. What did I type at 2 AM? If I'm a passenger on a long car journey I pretend there's a running man at the side of the road who can't touch the ground. And I imagine it in full detail. Jumps to that tree. Somersaults down and runs along the barrier. Jumps. Pushes off the stop sign and onto the phone box and so on. I get weird compulsions that I need to touch between my pinky fingers or touch my armpit. It's more like a tickling sensation that builds until I have to relieve it by touching it. I have no idea what causes this and I haven't heard of anyone else that has to do this. Maybe some form of mild OCD? Edit. Frequency of the sensation is constant. Every few seconds. Though I feel the intensity of the feeling comes in waves. I discreetly wave my right hand when I'm in front of sliding doors like a Jedi Knight to open them. You first. I count the toilet paper squares, ensuring there's exactly 4 or 8 before I tear it off to wipe. I spin in circles and think about things. But like, as an activity, I've spent an hour plus just spinning and thinking about things that don't matter on multiple occasions. When a page is taking a long time to load on my laptop I rotate my index finger clockwise and it makes me feel like it makes the page load faster. I work at a college as a janitor and sometimes I'll see a math problem and just solve it. When I wake up for work, sometimes I have the good chills about certain things. Like the AC console in my car might look like a cockpit and it sends good chills down my spine. It's like the time before I have to be at work is a cozy little mini time. There is no way in hell I can explain this in words. I have always called it the morning weird. Man, I hope there is someone else out there that knows what I'm talking about. Whenever someone coughs I have the urge to cough as well. I can only have the volume on any stereo set to an odd number. If someone else sets it or changes it to an even, I will discreetly change it back to an odd. Sometimes I have to invent a situation that requires me to use the remote or touch the stereo. Sometimes I take a huge intake of breath, as if I've been stuck underwater for longer than I'm comfortable and can finally breathe again. It scares the crap out of my friends as I'm usually quiet for several minutes and then suddenly I'm practically screaming. I just tell people that I forgot to breathe. I rarely realize I've done it too. It just happens. I also randomly do one hiccup. Sometimes mid-sentence and I'll continue my statement without letting the hiccup distract me. When I'm at home I eat the kernely bits of the popcorn first and save the soft parts for the end. I don't know where this came from, but I can't seem to stop. Constantly, realistically I do this hourly, relive specific moments from my past. I can imagine a conversation that I had 8 years ago and react physically in the present by saying the words I would have said then or move my body in the same way as I do in the memory.